Start. Jessica, why don't you describe who you are as a photographer?
I consider my background's in photojournalism and newspaper photography.
Yes.
And I'd say I'm a documentary photographer.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a photographer. I just do a little of this and a little of that to make a living, and I teach as well. I consider myself a photography instructor.
Mm-hmm.
I like to do stories. I like to photograph projects. I like to get in depth when I have time. Now, the reality is I don't always have the time to put into stuff, but those are the things that I like to photograph the most. People, daily lives.
Now, that maybe you can talk about this image a little bit and why you like it. Why did you have it printed? You're at this point, you're primarily almost all digital at this point, and probably don't print a lot of your work.
Prints are for walls, and
right.
I don't mean to say that. That sounded wrong. I mean,
no,
prints are for walls. They're for looking at.
Right.
But there's only so much wall space, especially in San Francisco.
Right, and you want to put something special. And this is in your wall. This is your image. Why this print?
Well, for one, I had it printed up for an auction for the Western Folklife Center,
mm-hmm.
and
okay.
I guess didn't sell, or I had it in an exhibit, or whatever reason. I had a bunch of prints made up from this shoot, and this one I ended up having, and I like it, so I put it on my wall.
Mm-hmm.
And it's part of the project that I'm working on, so it inspires me to keep doing that project.
I see. I'll tell you what I really admire about this picture is not only just the beautiful composition and balance, but the way the light hits the horses. I mean, a lot of good photographers say, if you have to say a lot about your work, that doesn't necessarily bode well. But, I think in this case, I think it's a great job. And how do you think this fits into your documentarian mode of being a photographer? If it does at all.
Well, it is. It's pure documentary. I was there. I was just watching what was going on. I like that it's a little off kilter. I like that you can't see Wally McRae's face.
Yes.
I've got plenty of portraits of Wally, and in the series, I've got plenty of pictures where you can see his face. I just feel like it gives you a sense of him.
It's being integrated. Just being part of the scene. I agree. You see legs and horses and ears, and yeah, I think it's a very successful image, and I can see why.
I try to layer my pictures more. I feel like that's something I can improve upon.
Yeah.
And I feel like this one has a lot of layers in it.
Absolutely.
And it reminds me that I need to keep working on that. That's I want to make images that are more complex, but yet still logical. Mm-hmm. And this is a step in the right direction.
Mm-hmm. So it
has a whimsy to it.
Right. It represents where you want to go with your pictures. Okay, let's look at the other one. This is the Kosovo image, but it's still again printed on your wall.
Yep.
Why?
To me, it's one of my favorite pictures from when I went to Kosovo, which was a very important part of my development career to me. I had just finished graduate school. We learned over and over in graduate school you need to shoot great pictures in your own backyard before you can go overseas. Back in the day, the teaching was go get an internship, go work at a local paper. You can work your way up to a big, large paper, and then they'll send you overseas. But don't just go now. You need to get the experience. Nowadays, it's a different mind frame because that whole path is sort of gone. So I wanted to go overseas. I was itching to do the international thing, and I had just finished a local project, in the county next to where I grew up, literally.
I remember that series. You showed, yes.
And I'm proud of that piece of work too, but this was a new thing for me. I wanted to go international, and I went weeks after the war ended with a writer friend of mine to Kosovo, spent a few weeks there, and then went back a few months later and did a follow-up. This was shot in the first trip. So it was my first time in a war-torn country, and it was, can I do this? Yes, I can. I managed fine. I wanted to make real pictures and meet real people, and I succeeded in my opinion, in my goals, to get away from the military, to get away from the surface stuff, to be able to dig deeper in a different culture.
Well, in peace, I guess the emphasis is more on the people again, on getting back to normalcy, right?
Yeah, exactly.
This speaks normalcy. I don't know if it is normal for them to be washing.
Well, it's everyday stuff.
Right.
But their bathroom was burned out and bombed out, so she had to wash her son in the carport.
I see.
Because they had no real bathroom. So I don't even know where the parents bathed. I think they probably went over to a neighbor's to use the shower. Yeah. But the kids, they just washed in the carport.
Yeah.
Because the bathroom was all burned out.
It's just a fabulous, decisive moment. You got it.
Thanks.
Why should we care about your work?
You don't have to care about my work. You should. I'm hoping people care about it. I'm hoping it educates people. I'm hoping it. I like work. Let's just rephrase it. I like people's work, and I'm hoping mine will fall into that category that is universal, that people can relate to. Mm-hmm. You don't have to be living in Kosovo and be Albanian and have been through the war to relate to that mother-child moment. I'm hoping that those are the kind of pictures that you can. Let me start again.
No, I think you're doing fine, but I can't.
But maybe my train of thought.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that they give some pleasure to people, that they're nice to look at, that they are informative, that they're interesting. I'm hoping that people see things that they can't normally see for themselves because they can't get there, because they wouldn't have looked at it that way, because they didn't have access. Whatever it is, I'm bringing more of the world to folks that can't always get to that place or this place or whatever. I'm hoping to show some insight and constantly trying to teach myself that we're all people, we're all the same, we're not different. Yeah, you might be from a different culture and a different background, and I'm constantly trying to remind myself that people are people, and I'm hoping that my pictures will do the same. And I need to educate myself on that constantly and remind myself. We all fall into our daily habits and our thought processes. So I guess I'd like to bring some. I hope my pictures have some universal appeal.
Okay, that universal appeal, the fact that your pictures might teach us something about ourselves might, in a way, create a greater sense of community among us.
Yeah, that's a better way to say it.
No, that's what you said, and that's the way I understand it. So.
Yeah, a sense of community and a sense of I'm fascinated by the different cultures and different clothing and the different ethnicities and races and lifestyles. But in the end, we all bathe, we all eat, we all raise our kids, and even in the places where there's conflicts, like Palestine and Israel, for example.
Yeah.
Both sides of that conflict, and I've seen both sides now. They just want to raise their kids and earn a living, and majority of the people just want to get along and have a normal life. Mm-hmm. And I feel like the only way to educate people is to see other people doing the same thing. Remind people that, yeah, we all just kind of want to do that stuff. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I guess we all, a sense of community. At the same time, it's fascinating to see, how do they do it? How do they dress? What do they look like? What do they eat? How do they do that? It's just interesting because it's not the same way things are not done in San Francisco the same way they're done in Montana. I mean, the cowboy culture. Yeah, we're all Americans, but it's different. And then, you know, if you go international, of course, it's way different.
Right.
But at the same time, we're all still doing the basic getting up, bathing, raising our kids, making food, earning a living, living our lives, playing, praying. I think that it's fascinating that we all do it a little bit differently, but we're all basically doing the same thing. We all want basically the same things.
Right. Well, let's hope photography can tie us a little bit closer. Maybe it'll solve some of the world's problems in its own way.
I don't know if my work will ever do that, but
no, but it is contributing to that. Yes.
In the heart, that's in the heart in the vein of what I'm doing with it.
Well, thank you, Jessica, very much. Again, thank you, viewers. Again, this is continuing a series of profiles of photographers. Brought to you by J.A. Martin Inc. Fine Images. The website is www.jamartinfineimages.com. Thank you very much.